Hi, this is Moonshine's Curiosity. Today I've decided to tell my story. Basically, it's about like how the schizoaffective happened for me and where I've gone, how I've gone through it. Sorry, the disorganized thoughts are still going on. If you looked at my last video, I was having some disorganized thoughts, and it's still going on and my memory's still bad, but it's not as bad as that video where I kept losing thought. So anyways, it starts junior high. I started around puberty. I kept getting manic and depression, but I didn't know, and the doctors thought I had major depression. So they prescribed me antidepressants and they didn't work. And throughout high school I tried different antidepressants, and all I got was feeling zombified and felt no emotion, and I just felt like I was going through life feeling nothing. And so I basically went off of them. So later on, my mom wasn't very supportive of the medications either, because she was like, you're my daughter, you're perfect, like, stuff like that. But anyways, as an adult, around 23, I started hallucinating really bad. I saw a squirrel in the backyard, and it looked like a northern squirrel. And, squirrel up north in the snow, the ones that are reddish with the tall ears. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, and I don't know how to edit videos, so maybe I'll show a picture once I figure out how to edit videos. So anyways, I kept seeing it, and then one of the times my boyfriend was with me outside, and I said, there it is, and I started running after it, and I was really excited and enthusiastic about it, and I said, there it is, don't you see it? And he's like, no, and I'm like, it's right there in front of you, and it started running away, and I was chasing it, and then it went onto the top of the roof and disappeared. So my boyfriend knew something was up, and I was really mad at him because he was like, no, it's not real, you didn't see it, you need to see the doctor. And it took me a few weeks, and I finally talked to my doctor about it, and then I got a psychiatrist. Now, this first psychiatrist decided that she wasn't going to believe me. She said I definitely have bipolar because I would get really depressed and then really manic. And it was rapid cycling, as she said, where every few weeks it changes. And mood stabilizers actually help. So, yes, I have bipolar. But then she was like, I don't know if you have schizophrenia. I don't know if it's hallucinating. Like, it looks fine to me. You're not hallucinating here in the office. And I'm just like, yes, I am. I'm seeing a dark shadow man in the corner of the room. And I know he's not real because I can reality check it, which at the time I didn't know what reality checking was because she never told me how to do that until I got my really good therapist. But I was like, okay, well, I am seeing stuff while I'm in the visit, but I know it's not real because I've never seen it before in my life. I mean, I've had a few instances where I was hallucinating periodically through my life, where I heard voices a few times and thought I was psychic. One time after my driver's permit, I looked in the mirror and my face was all cut up and gruesome and looked horrible, and then it disappeared, and I assumed I was foretelling the future, so I postponed my driver's license until about 22. And so, yeah, been a little rough. So I had a few instances like that and thought I was psychic, and then I started seeing more shadow people around 23 as well. So I just thought I was psychic, but I'm not. I'm mentally ill. Now, if there's psychics out there, I don't know, but it's a possibility, and I'm not going to throw it out there that it isn't. So, anyways, this was about 3 years ago when I started having all this hallucination stuff go on for a lot. And the psychiatrist, I finally asked her, because I was paying out of pocket for her, because I couldn't find one that took my insurance. And I kept asking, I'm like, what's my diagnosis? I want to know what it is. And she's like, well, it's not about the diagnosis, which I agree. Yes, it's about the symptoms. But when I see another doctor, I want to know what I have. So then I can tell him, and then he has an idea of what the sides, or what the symptoms are. But she was like, no, I'm not going to tell you. So finally it was the last visit. I said, this is the last visit. I can't afford to see you. It was $300 an hour and $150 for 30 minutes. And I said, I'm going through my inheritance that I have. I don't have any more. I can't pay for this anymore. And she was like, well, okay, why are you leaving? And I'm like, I can't afford it. And she's like, I said, well, what's the diagnosis? I want to know. And so finally she was like, okay, well, yeah, I think you have schizoaffective. That's what it is. So I said, okay, great. So then I went and decided I need, this was around, I saw her for about a year. And then year 2, I went to, I went to another psychiatry place, and it had a nurse practitioner for me instead of a psychiatrist. And this nurse practitioner told me basically that he's like, well, I don't know if you're hallucinating. And I don't know what was up with these people. Like, why did they do this? Why did they act like it wasn't true? Like, I am a little high functioning, but it's no excuse. I'm seeing things and hearing things every day. I can't work. And I explained this to him. I said, I don't know how I'm supposed to work like this. And he's just like, well, yeah, you could. You're just not trying hard enough. And I'm like, I talk to things that aren't there. And he's like, well, I've never seen it. And I'm like, I only see you an hour once a month. And so he started trying me on different meds. None of them worked. And I was seeing him for about a year. And my dad wanted to take me on a trip. And I had just gotten a new therapist. And my nurse practitioner was like, oh, I don't think you should see a therapist. And I'm like, I want a therapist. She'll give me help. So I went to see one, and she's amazing. I still have her. And she does amazing work. She's always helpful, giving me tips, helping me out, giving me coping skills, everything I need, reality checking. She's given me everything to help me through my difficulties. So anyways, I talked to her and I said, I'm really nervous about this trip my dad wants to go on. We're going up to Wisconsin. It's a very long drive, and Kentucky, for the solar eclipse at the time. That was last year. Yeah. So it was around August when the solar eclipse happened in the Americas, or in the US, I should say. I don't know if it happened anywhere else. I think it was just America, the United States. And she said there's a pill that you can take. It's an emergency pill. You can take it once in a while, and it will basically put you out of a psychotic episode. It will straighten out your moods, and you won't feel very good, but you won't be like freaking out. You'll just be zoned out. So I was like, yeah, I went in on this. And she said, well, you can see if you can get one and ask your nurse practitioner. So I said, okay. So I asked the nurse practitioner. And of course, that time I was alone. And I asked him, and he said, you know what? You can suck it up for the trip. And I never saw him again. They asked me for another appointment. I said, oh, I don't know when I can get off again for this. And then I never came back. And I talked to someone else who went to the same psychiatry place, and they said they've had problems too, where they just did stuff and then didn't take care of it, and they were just not very good people. I mean, it is what it is. So I haven't seen a psychiatrist this whole year, and the medication he put me on took 3 months for it to work, but it finally worked. And the funny part about that is the first month he had me on like 10 and 15 milligrams, and I said, this isn't working. And he said, oh, it will work. And I've had this before with my psychiatrist, where she put me on Risperdal, and it gave me massive anxiety to the point I couldn't sleep at night, thinking I was going to die. I was scared the world was going to blow up. I was super paranoid. And she kept saying, it's going to work. It always works. So when he said it, I was like, okay, no, I'm not doing this again. And so finally he put me around 25 milligrams, and I'm like, it's not working. And he's like, well, it's not working because when you're under like 20 or 25 milligrams, it's not an antipsychotic, it's a mood stabilizer. And he acted like I knew. And I'm like, I don't know this. I'm not a doctor. Why didn't you tell me this before? And even my boyfriend asked that, and he wouldn't reply. So I decided to stop seeing one since the medication started working after 3 months. And I had my general doctor just prescribe it like as a refill since it was working. And I'm on 30 milligrams of it, which is the highest dose, but it seemed to work at the time. And I went through the year, and I got a job again. I started working for the school district. I was really scared too. And then I started painting miniatures, like little models. And that was going really good. I was doing really good. And then May happened. Some other stuff happened where I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know who's watching. And it's private stuff, I guess, so I'm just not going to go into it with work and everything. But May came around, and right around the time my school district job was ending for the summertime, my doctor took me off of my Abilify. And it was because I kept getting involuntary swallowing. And I thought I heard something. I don't know if I did or didn't. I guess I'll rewatch the video and see. I started, where was I at? Oh, he took me off of it because I had started to have involuntary swallowing and lip smacking. And he was scared I would keep on doing it, so he took me off of it. And he didn't know about congentin, something like that. It's a Parkinson's medication that stops you from tremoring for medications or for natural tremors, I guess. Anyways, he took me off, and I said, I think there's a medication called congentin. Can you look it up? And he couldn't find it, so he took me off of it. And my therapist mentioned I could go to a walk-in hospital, and I did, and it went horrible. They took me away from my boyfriend. They took my stuff away. They made me take off my shoes. They kept asking if I was a drug addict. Kept asking if I was running away from the law. I mean, granted, yes, I have pink hair. I have piercings, and I have plenty of tattoos from being manic and getting them. But I was like, no. And then when they kept asking about the drugs, I was like, check my urine. All you're going to find is lamotrigine in it. The Abilify's out of my system. And they wouldn't do it. And then they had me take a breathalyzer. And it was just crazy. And then when I went to see the doctor, she was talking to me through Skype. And she put me on Abilify for 10 milligrams. And I told her, I said, that's a mood stabilizer dose. And she said, well, you don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I do. My nurse practitioner told me, and it didn't work. Anyways, so I don't know why you can't get this through your head or whatever. I didn't say that, but I thought it. So I was just like, oh my God. So I went through that, and that was a mess, and that was early July. And luckily, I've been keeping, my general doctor forgot to end the refills of my Abilify, so I've been like hoarding them like through the last few months. And I know this is kind of bad, and I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to talk to my general doctor about it. I slowly went up the medication this month to the normal dose that I'm on. And so far, I haven't been getting better, but I have slowly gone up. And I'm going to ask my doctor on Monday, is this okay that I did this? Should I just go back down to the 10? I know it doesn't work at 10. Oh, yeah, and I forgot. The hospital gave me congentin. I can't pronounce it, but it's an anti-tremor med. So it stopped the muscle spasms and the swallowing and stuff. So that helped. Yeah, but anyways, I also, a couple months ago, went to put an appointment for a nurse practitioner. And then I just found out today, one of my boyfriend's friends said he goes to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist was super friendly, super nice, and he recommended him for me. He takes it for ADHD. He goes to him for that. But I'll be going to him for the schizoaffective and the ADHD and the, what else? I think that's it. Yeah, panic. I have panic attacks. So, yeah, and I self-harm during that, so that's always fun, I guess. So anyways, yeah, I see the doctor, and then I'm supposed to see that nurse practitioner, but if I can see that psychiatrist instead, who's super awesome, super friendly, and I know he is, then I'll see him instead of the nurse practitioner and see how that works out. And hopefully, he believes me and he doesn't cause me trouble, because the last two caused me so much trouble, didn't believe me. And then when I was trying for disability last year, so the one psychiatry place said they wouldn't give it to me the psychiatrist, she refused to give it to me. Said she can only give it to doctors, she can't give it to the patient, which is a load of shit. Yes, they can. It's against HIPAA. But my therapist said it's really hard to win a case with HIPAA. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then I tried to get it from the other place, and they wanted $70 for 30 pages. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then I went to somewhere else, and they wanted like $50 for it. So I was just like, these people are so rude. You know, charging so much for printing copies. I know it's expensive to print up stuff. But, like, come on. It's ridiculous. It should be like 20 bucks. Paper doesn't cost that much that I know of. And the ink cartridges do, but I don't know if it would go through that much, because I would assume they have better cartridges than we do because they're a business. But what do I know? I don't know. So, yeah, that's what's been going on. That's my story. It's not very eventful, really. It's just me trekking along, trying to get better. And currently now I'm not working. I'm hoping I can get my jobs back. I'm getting doctor's notes, and hopefully that helps me out with it. But yeah, so far it's been a little rough. I keep seeing shadow people. I keep hearing voices talking about me. People that I know that are talking about me, and I know it's not real. And basically, just kind of scary stuff, but it's entertaining at the same time. Like, as weird as that sounds, like, it's a little freaky, but then at the same time, I'm like, this is kind of entertaining. I kind of miss this. I don't know why. Maybe because it's a part of me, and that's why I feel like I like it in a way. But I'm sure I sound kind of crazy saying that. But that's my story. I'll see you in the next video. And it was great talking to you guys. As you can see, the disorganized thoughts are a little bit better. And the memory's a little bit better. So there's that. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.